All right, I found this book a while back at a thrift store. Um, Something about how it looked, I thought was cool. It's pretty small, about 6 inches by 4 inches, so it's about the size of my hand, and it has this really pretty green color, which I think is made from some sort of cheap leather. It always feels a little cool to the touch, and the front and back covers are pretty well intact, though they do have a little bit of wear on them. And as you can see here, there are some red and gold decorations on the spine. I love this combination of red and green, and I think it might actually look a little better now that the colors have faded a bit. I don't think it would look quite as good if the colors were still too bright. Oh, there you can see sort of the wear on the back cover. It's a little prominent, or more prominent than the front cover there. Uh, the gilded parts on the spine, you can kind of see them slightly there. Uh, they have faded almost entirely away. At the very bottom of the spine, there's some gilding that you can still see, uh, and on the edge of the spine, there's the the title, "The Fairyland of Science." You can see it on the first page there, and then here's the frontispiece, and the title page. So you've got a really beautiful engraving here of a glacier carrying down stones, is what the caption says, and it's a looks like it's carrying them down through some sort of valley there, and there's a few little people at the bottom looking up at it. And then here's the title page. It's the Fairyland of Science, and you can see different tools there. There's a teapot and looks like an oil lamp of some sort. And then there's the author's name. It's a woman named Arabella B. Buckley, and you can see her other credits here. And the publishing house, which is the Christian Herald. Um, and let's see. So here's a preface here. Um, and if you read through this, you can see that the book is just a collection of lectures that were given to an audience of, it says, an audience of children and their friends, um, in, let's see, in um, St. John's Wood, England. And the author, Arabella Buckley, was a secretary for some amount of time, and then became sort of a science educator that went around giving lectures. And here you can see the different lectures that are collected in the book. So there's lecture 1, the Fairyland of Science, how to enter it, how to use it, and how to enjoy it. Um, lecture 2 is sunbeams and the work they do. Lecture 3, the aerial ocean in which we live. Lecture 4, a drop of water on its travels. Lecture 5, the two great sculptors, water and ice. Lecture 6, the voices of nature and how we hear them. Lecture 7, the life of a primrose. And on the preface there, you can see that the illustrations were supervised by someone named Mr. J. Cooper. And here are the other lectures at the end of the table of contents. And here's another amazing engraving showing a sort of frozen courtyard area. And this font up here, the Fairyland of Science, is awesome. So let's see. It says, "I have promised to introduce you today to the Fairyland of Science," a somewhat bold promise, seeing that most of you probably look upon science as a bundle of dry facts, while Fairyland is all that is beautiful and full of poetry and imagination. But I thoroughly believe myself, and hope to prove to you that science is full of beautiful pictures, of real poetry, and of wonder-working fairies. And what is more, I promise you they shall be true fairies, whom you will love just as much when you are old and gray-headed as when you are young. For you will be able to call them up wherever you wander, by land or by sea, through meadow or through wood, through water or through air, and though they themselves will always remain invisible, yet you will see their wonderful power at work everywhere around you." So yeah, that's kind of the premise of the book, I suppose, is just that um, the author Arabella Buckley is trying to communicate these sort of introductory science ideas, um, and but trying to communicate it in a way that's inspiring to children, and using sort of the motif of fairies and magical things. You can see these other illustrations here. Here's that teapot again. And you can see this section's about a drop of water. And then the voices of nature. Looks like this is talking about different types of wave patterns probably in nature there. Here's the interior of the air, it looks like. Yeah. And I don't know what that apparatus is. And I couldn't find a publication date printed anywhere in the book, but through some research online I found out that the book was first published in 1879. Oh, here's another really beautiful engraving. Bunch of different flora there. When the dreary days of winter and the early damp days of spring are passing away, and the warm, bright sunshine has begun to pour down upon the grassy paths of the wood, who does not love to go out and bring home posies of violets and bluebells and primroses? Yeah, so this is all about collecting flowers and then thinking about what causes those flowers to grow. And let's see. But tell me, did you ever stop to think, as you added flowers after flower to your nosegay, how the plants which bear them have been building up their green leaves and their fragile buds during the last few weeks? If you had visited the same spot a month before, a few last year's leaves, withered and dead, would have been all that you would have found. And now the whole wood is carpeted with delicate green leaves, with nodding bluebells and pale yellow primroses, as if a fairy had touched the ground and covered it with fresh young life. And our fairies have been at work here. The fairy Life, of whom we know so little, though we love her so well and rejoice in the beautiful form she can produce. The fairy sunbeams, with their invisible influence, kissing the tiny shoots and warming them into vigor and activity. The gentle raindrops, the balmy air, all these have been working while you or I passed heedlessly by. And there's quite a few illustrations in this book, and they're all really well done. Makes you think about how much time had to go into producing all these engravings, and it's sort of unclear exactly who did the engraving. It talks about it briefly in the preface. It just says that they were superintended or seen over basically by Mr. J. Cooper, but it's possible Arabella Buckley was involved with them too. I'm going to ask you to visit with me today one of the most wonderful cities in the world. It is a city with no human beings in it, and yet it is densely populated, for such a city may contain from 20,000 to 60,000 inhabitants. So it's talking about beehives here, and you can see this really beautiful engraving again. And this is lecture 9, it looks like, so the second to last one in the book. And I love the tone of this book, just how wholesome it is, and how clear, and how it makes all of these topics so interesting and feel so sort of full of magic, I guess. And here's some bees. Looks like a worker bee, a queen bee, and a drone or male bee, from left to right there. And then they've got an appendix here at the back of the book, or an index, I mean. Let's see. It looks like there's a little bit of a stain from something in there. So that's that book, The Fairyland of Science by Arabella B. Buckley, published by the Christian Herald Library. And here again you can see just a little bit of the exterior. This was just found at a thrift store here locally. I'm not sure which edition of the book it is, but I think it's probably one of the earlier editions, so most likely published in the 1800s, or the late 1800s, around the time the book was first published. All right. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any book recommendations or anything, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.